So this PC was an absolute nightmare. Guys, this is going to be an interesting one. So you're going to have to get yourself a cup of tea, get yourself a biscuit. It's going to be a bit of a long story, this one, but we're going to get there. So first of all, I'll show you the build montage, and then we'll talk about why this PC was such a nightmare for me. Let's go. So yeah, here's the completed PC, guys, and as you could probably see, it's totally different. Oh jeez, this one I can't even tell you how frustrating this PC was. Anyway, start from the start, Michael. So I go and collect a £150 PC. It looks pretty okay to me, and the specifications were not too bad. It was in this case. This is the actual case that it was in. Not a particularly great case, but it's okay. It does have tempered glass here as well with the PSU shroud. But the main reason I picked it up for £150 was that it had a GTX 1070 Ti in it. Now, as you know, that's probably about £100 graphics card or so, or £90 to £100 graphics card at the moment here in the UK. And I thought for 150 quid, that's not bad, seeing as you get a complete PC. And the rest of the specs were I think it's a Asus H110 motherboard with the i5 7500 in it, which is a 4-core 4-thread processor, so no, not great there. Obviously our i7 7700 would have been far better, or the 7700K would have been far better, but the 7500 would have done, I guess. So it came with 16 gigabytes of RAM, clocked at 2400 megahertz, one stick of it, so you can tell it was a bit of a pre-built, this one. But Yeah, we mainly brought it for the 1070 Ti, really. It had a no-name power supply as well, so I just threw that out straight away. I didn't want to even deal with that. And this is the case for it. And it did also come with a 1 TB SSD, but I'm not going to use that for this build because this is quite a budget build. So I'll keep that 1 TB SSD for another time, for when I do another build. And also, I have changed out the graphics card here as well. But anyway, so I'll try and tell a long story short if I can. I go to pick up the PC. First of all, a little bit of alarm bells that he hasn't got it on, he hasn't got it showing, he hasn't got it connected to a monitor and set up and what have you. Always a little bit cautious when I see that, when they haven't got it set up. So he literally just had it outside and said, here it is, and can you give me the money, sort of thing. So I was a little bit on the back foot of that. So thinking I was probably going to get a little bit scammed here, but I thought, well, it's a 1070 Ti and I just want to keep going with it. So yeah, I did decide to actually purchase it, and I did take it home. Basically, I got home, plugged it in, and switched it on. I mean, there was no name power supply anyway, so tried to switch it on anyway, and just nothing. Yeah, just no action, just no power, no nothing. Was a bit pissed off, but I kind of knew that this is a Facebook Marketplace pickup. I'm not going to get my money back, so let's just dive into it and see if we can get anything working from it. So I take out the motherboard, put in an actual proper power supply, obviously, put it onto my test bench, and lo and behold, it did actually boot up, which is quite surprising, and I was quite happy about that. Now we didn't. We did test the graphics card at a later date, but we didn't use the 1070 Ti at that point. Although I can confirm that the 1070 Ti is fully working, which is obviously another good plus as well. Because I thought we were going to get totally scammed and have no PC working at all, and we got sold 40 parts. But anyway, at least we didn't get sold 40 parts. I think it was just the power supply had just totally cooked it. Also, because the dust in the power supply, it never looked like it was turning on. I mean, the guy said he cleaned it out and turned it on and reset it for me and everything, but he hadn't done anything really. But anyway, when I got it as well, it was totally covered in dust, absolutely covered everywhere. He hadn't cleaned it at all. You could clearly see that, and I don't think he even switched it on for a while either. But anyway, kind of got a little bit scammed, but we got out of it, and we've salvaged the PC here. Now, further along into the build, the CPU cooler wasn't actually working though. The fan had actually just stopped on the CPU cooler. It's one of those really old Arctic Freezer 13 ones, so it stopped, and so I had to go and replace the fan. Now, this could have been my fault, it might not have been my fault, it might have been tampered with before, I don't know. But basically, when I basically needed to change out thermal paste and everything anyway, so I thought I'll just take out the CPU. And then I take out the CPU and it's got bent pins in. So I don't know whether I've kind of done that myself, or whether that was just bent pins from before, or what have you. It could have been me, and I'm not saying it wasn't me. It could have been me. Somehow I've knocked the socket when I was doing it. Maybe I've done it. I don't know, but I kind of feel like the bent pins might have been there before. But anyway, I saw we had bent pins, so what I've done is I've tried to bend them back as best as I could. This is obviously, this is an Intel motherboard, so it has those stupid tiny little fragile pins which can easily snap off if you even look at them. So yeah, it's sorry if it's getting a bit of a long story, but I think it would be interesting to hear this. We will have the benchmarks after as well, so don't worry about that, guys. But anyway, so yeah, I have bent them back enough, and then I got it to boot onto my test bench, which was actually great. So we had a fully working PC, and I basically put in this Corsair CV450, which is a little bit too underpowered for a GTX 1070 Ti, but I did have a spare GTX 1060 6GB version kicking around, so I thought we'd actually just go with that with this build instead. Unfortunately, as you've seen in the montage, I put the PC together, and then it just didn't boot. And I was like, okay, this is extremely odd. It was booting on my test bench fine, and now I've moved it into the case, which is this case here, and now it doesn't work. So very, very odd. I think, to be honest, I think the socket's just knackered. I could try and fiddle around with it a little bit more, but I don't think I'm getting anywhere. And I think probably the best thing to do, seeing as it is an old system, it's only an i5 7500. Now, if it was an i7, I'd probably rescue it and I probably would buy a new board. But I think probably just the CPU and the motherboard I'm just going to sort of scrap or just sell on as broken. Probably just ship them, I'll probably just put them on eBay or what have you, or just even locally, just for very cheap, and advertise that it's broken parts and just see if someone wants them. The 16 gigabyte stick of RAM, the one stick, that's perfectly usable and boots fine, so that's fine as well. We've salvaged that. We salvaged the case, which is obviously good. We've got the 1 terabyte SSD as well, which is a 2.5 inch SSD, the 2.5 inch drive. So we salvaged enough to make it worthwhile. But anyway, we've put in this other system here, so let's actually talk about this other system that we have. So this is a bit of a system that I was working in the background, but now I've moved it to this PC instead, because I was kind of, if you're a PC flipper, you kind of have projects where you're kind of like one or two projects that you're kind of simultaneously trying to work on, so you can kind of build up multiple PCs. So this is a Ryzen 5 2600 build, so we actually do have a far more powerful processor now in this PC, which is really good. The 7500 really is a 4-core 4-thread CPU and is totally underpowered for any gaming PC nowadays anyway, so really I wasn't really thinking about using that anyway, but I kind of wanted to get that with the 1066 gigabyte version, because it was obviously what I wanted the 1070 Ti to go with this 2600 Ryzen 2600 build, because it would have just fitted better. But anyway, we've had to put the 1060 in because we've only got a 450 watt power supply. Now, if we do come across a better PSU soon, then we will probably put the 1070 in here, or the 1070 Ti, sorry. And the 1070 Ti will be coming up in a future video, guys, so obviously please subscribe to see that. It'll be 1070 Ti in 2024. But anyway, come back to the build. I'm really rambling here, but just try and keep with me. We have the Ryzen 5 2600 on a AsRock B450 Pro 4 motherboard, so again, pretty decent motherboard, full ATX, which is nice, as we do have an ATX case. And we have 2x8 gigabyte kit for 16 gigabytes in total, and they're clocked at 3200 megahertz CL16, so that Corsair Vengeance LPX doing us proud again, because that's basically all we use, because we're a budget flipper and it's bloody cheap RAM, so that's great. And then obviously our 1060 6GB version for our graphics card. I've just put in a kind of 256GB SSD. I could have used the 1 terabyte, but I just think it's a little bit it's not really going to add anything to the build, and I kind of want the 1 terabyte for a better PC. So I've just put a 256 in there, which is a little bit low, and I would have liked a 512, but again, beggars can't be choosers, and I had that sticking around and lying around, so I thought we'd use it for this little budget build. And then our CV450, oh sorry, is it? Yeah, sorry, it's CV450 from Corsair power supply, 450 watts, just about enough power for this PC. Minimum is 400 watts you need for this PC, so we're in okay there. And this is just a very generic case. It is fully closed off. Little bit annoying, but I have put in 2 ARGB fans there, if you can see, and I might even think about putting another one in there, but to be honest, I just want to ship this PC and get it rid of. I really don't really want to see this thing again. If I'm honest, I'm just a bit pissed off about it, if you probably can tell, but it has caused me a bit of stress and what have you, but at the end of the day, this is only a PC, isn't it, guys, so it's not a big thing really, you know. There's plenty of worse things in the world going on, and we've got to think about that, haven't we, guys? So let's just have a bit of fun with PCs, I think. And I hope you're enjoying the videos. So yeah, I think really the only thing to do now is to obviously go into the benchmarks, and then we'll finish off the video with the benchmark. So overall, yeah, it's come out okay, hasn't it, guys? I mean, it's not brilliant. I'll try and sell it for £300. I've probably got £200 invested into it, so whatever I get, at this point, someone could offer me 200, and I probably would just let them have it because I just don't even care now. This is kind of that sort of point on this PC. But anyway, we are where we are. Let's roll the benchmarks. So our first game up is Fortnite, and at 1080p low we are here. And this is with the Ryzen 5 2600, 16GB of RAM, clocked to 3200 MHz, and the GTX 1060 6GB. And we're on medium settings, sorry, so we'll go down to low. So here we go, we have landed now, and let's start the benchmarking. So about 200 frames per second here, 1080p low. Pretty decent showing from the 1060 6GB, as you'd expect. We've had a lot of problems with this PC, as I've kind of said, but let's try and gloss over that now and just concentrate on the benchmarks. And you know, it is holding up there, about 90 or so. Our GPU is sitting about 61 degrees centigrade, so that's great as well. About 67% usage, a little bit low, but it's okay. We should be able to get the most out of this graphics card with the Ryzen 5 2600. It's still a 6-core 12-thread CPU, so it should still be fine. And the usage is only about 6 or 7% on it, so that's good. And it's only about 51 degrees centigrade on the CPU as well, so that's great. Sitting around about 200 frames per second now, so this seems to be pretty good. I think we'll actually just go up, we'll stop the benchmarking and just quickly go up to medium. Hopefully we still stay alive during that time and an enemy doesn't get to us. So 1080p medium now, let's restart the benchmarking. Our frame rate has gone down a little bit, but it's still pretty respectable here. About 94 there, dropping here and there. Obviously our 1%, well 0.1% and our 1% lows are very low. Again, Fortnite will stutter a lot. So, you know, that is what it is. Again, it's Fortnite, and there will be a lot of stutters because it's obviously an online game as well. So that's obviously not going to help either. Can we go in there or not? I don't even know. I know we kind of think we can. Yeah, so 66 degrees centigrade on our GPU, very respectable. This Gigabyte card seems to be very good. Yeah, very happy with it. Altogether, I think the PC probably cost us about £200, I'm going to say, but it is made up from all different parts, and as I've kind of explained in the video, you know, it is what it is there. We've just had to make a PC from what we've got, really. So overall, it's okay, but this isn't the you know, this isn't that great of a build. If I'm honest, there is a lot of things that I would have liked to have changed here, but anyway, we have a build, and that's the main thing, and we have something to sell now, so that I'm happy about that. So that's the important thing at the end of the day. Yeah, 1080p medium, Fortnite is certainly holding up here, around about 85 FPS, which is pretty solid. Anyway, well, that was Fortnite. As you can tell, I'm not very good at Fortnite, but anyway. So, Shadow of the Tomb Raider 1080p and full screen. Graphics are set to medium preset. I don't think we should need to go to low. Medium should be okay for this PC, so let's run the benchmark. So Shadow of the Tomb Raider 1080p medium, we're sitting about 70 or so frames per second. 100% usage on our GPU, which is always great. And hardly any usage on our CPU. Now if we were running this with the older CPU, which I had in the other motherboard, which is the i5 7500, it would have probably been higher usage for sure, but I still think we would have got near enough to the same FPS. I did kind of want to go with that system, but again, as I've explained in the video before, we had problems with it and it's been a bit of a nightmare. But anyway, let's move on. And you know, we've got a good PC here now, we've got something to sell, so that's the main thing. So about 80 or so here on the average, so that's pretty good. It's going to fluctuate here and there, but certainly 1080p medium is more than playable here. anything over 60 really is perfectly playable, isn't it? So I probably wouldn't go to high actually here. I think high is going to be too much for this for this PC. I think it's going to high. Shadow of the Tomb Raider high is going to be a bit too much. So 1080p medium, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is going to be where this PC is best. So Shadow of the Tomb Raider 1080p medium. Our average was 73, our minimum was 55, and our maximum was 121. So perfectly playable here. And let's move on to Cyberpunk 2077. So Cyberpunk 2077 1080p full screen. Our graphics are set to high currently, but we'll try medium. Well, no, actually we'll go right down to low first of all, because this is the 1060, and then we'll see what it can do. We're using AMD Fidelity FX Super Resolution 2.1. So 1080p low, Cyberpunk 2077, and we're sitting round about 60 FPS there, sort of hovering around the 55 to 60. Very good utilization on our GPU, basically 100%, so that's good. Only about 8% or so on our CPU usage, so that's pretty solid. Yeah, they're just under the 60 FPS, so if you do have a 1060 6GB and you still want to play Cyberpunk 2077, you can just about get away with it. It will just about do 60 FPS average. But we'll see what the average is here now. And here we go with the average. Let me just move that. There we go. So we've got 64 FPS for our average, 50 for our minimum, and 80 for our maximum. So pretty solid there. Maybe you might need to go down in resolution slightly with a 1060 6GB, but it should be okay. But overall, to sum up this video, being a bit of a nightmare to get this PC up and running and what have you. Obviously, sometimes you get a deal and sometimes it doesn't turn out to be exactly what you thought, and there's issues and what have you, but overall we have a working PC now, and yeah, we have something to sell at least, so that's the biggest thing. Let's try for £300, even if we get 275, and I'll just shift it on. £75 profit, still £75 profit, so whatever. Our cost price is around the £200 mark, so not too bad, but it is what it is. I hope you like this little bit of a different video, guys. Please leave a like to help the algorithm, the YouTube algorithm. Please comment what you think overall of my video and what have you, and what you change with the PC and what have you. And please subscribe so you can see my future videos. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.